Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Let me tell you about this brother named Dominique, right? Dominique was one of these brothers that he was open and honest about his circumstances and why he was in prison, okay? Because it was so dramatic and tragic, it's almost unbelievable. And that's what this story is going to be about, okay? I'm going to tell you about this guy that was on the streets, living the life. Now, he was in the streets now. He was in the streets. You know, he one of the guys too, but back in this day, he was on the streets, hustling, getting his money, but he was building a home with his wife, and they wanted kids, and they wanted to do all of these different types of things and all this stuff. And she was the smart one. She was the smart one. She was the one that knew what to do with the money and all this and that, trying to help them get things going right. And he was out there getting it. He was out there getting it, and he was bringing that money home, and she was the first one to put it in his head, look, we need to own something. You out here taking all of these risks. We need to own something. And he was like, you're right. But how do I do it? Because he didn't understand a lot of the maneuvers that you got to make when you're in the streets that will lead you to be able to buy a home or this, that, and the third, right? So what she did, she said, look, I work. And by me working, you know, I can go and apply for a loan and do this and do that, right? The banks don't know who her boyfriend is. You feel what I'm saying? They don't know nothing about that. And frankly, they don't care. They want to know, do you have collateral? Can you pay the payments on this house and so on and so forth, right? And she had a pretty decent job. Excellent credit. Plus, her parents were willing to help her find a new home. You know, be first-time home buying, all this and that, right? So they were willing to put their names down. You feel what I'm saying? All she wanted to make sure is that the money that was coming in was going to go towards that house. I know a lot of y'all being skeptical right now, probably thinking, I can see where this is going. No. It wasn't like that. She really, really did love folks. She loved them. And she wanted to build a future with him. And she was smart enough by the example that her parents had given her to understand that we need a home. We don't need to be renting and giving all this money because it's not going to lead to anything that belongs to them. So they made the move. She goes apply for the loan. He with her, and he's telling them, you know, the people that are talking to him, because they sit at the bank together, and they're telling them, you know what I'm saying, the boyfriend and girlfriend and all this and that. And she wanted his name on the paperwork. Now, his credit was terrible, you know what I'm saying? So that's why they needed a cosigner, and her parents were willing to do that. The reason folks' parents couldn't cosign because his dad was in the penitentiary and his mom, you know, things were kind of rough. She worked, his mom worked, but she didn't have it like that. In case something happened. She didn't have it. And she was like, look, I got you, I support you, but I can't put my name on nothing. So, but her parents, they would. They were willing to do that. You know what I mean? They were willing to do that because they wanted her to be happy. They knew he was, you know, on the side hustling a little bit, but they were patient and willing to, like, look, we know what you're doing now, but you can't do that forever. What are your plans? And he told them what his 5-year plan was to continue to do what he was doing and maybe one day get him a legitimate business, food truck and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about, y'all. People got them hopes and dreams when you're young. You know, they around in their mid-20s, right? So they got a lot of life to live, and he just needed that person in his life that could help him make that switch. Just turn everything around. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. He was close to his pops. His pops was locked up. You feel me? His pops was locked up in the penitentiary. You know what I mean? And he had been in and out, you know, his whole life. Had a bad addiction. He wasn't no major, like, you know, no dope boy. He wasn't getting no money, this and that. He was a petty thief, stealing lawnmowers and stuff like that. You know, lawn equipment and stuff like that. Just petty. But he in and out of prison with these little bitty stints, you know, 3-year, 5-year, 7-year stint. But over time, he's gone the majority of Dominique's life. He's not there. He's not reliable. He's not dependable. His moral compass is all over the place. You feel what I'm saying? And he was the type of person that made it sound real good. See, when you have an absentee parent, and they're not the ones that are being there to discipline you and raise you and instill those morals and values in you. See, a lot of those people, they know how to quickly become your friend instead of your parent. And that's what he was to Dominique. He talked to Dominique about things that Dominique would talk to the guys in the streets about. So Dominique felt like that they were cool like that. They were cool like that. See, and I can relate to that in this instance, right? Let me explain what I mean by that. See, I tried to be a friend to my two sons as opposed to being a parent to my two sons. You understand what I'm saying? Because I wasn't there. I was in the penitentiary. Y'all know that if you listen to my show. So I wasn't doing the things that a parent should be doing, laying down the right example and giving them the insight that would help them go further in life as opposed to following in my footsteps. And that's exactly what Craig, that's Dominique's father, that's what he did. He would tell him things that would push him further into the game, and Dominique took it as if, my pop's helping me out. He gave me the insight. He gave me game, this and that, and third, right? But his daddy wasn't even nowhere on the level that he was on. You feel what I'm saying? So he was still close to his daddy, and he liked to have those conversations. So when his dad called home and told him that it was time for him to go up for parole, and he wanted this time to make it. He wanted this time to be successful on parole. Who doesn't? See, when you're in here and it's almost time to get out, I've seen a lot of people, I haven't had my opportunity yet, pray that it comes, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. A lot of people, when they get ready to get out, they put on their best face. See, the whole time that they're in the penitentiary, they buck wild and doing all this other stuff, to survive the environment and all this and that, right? But then when it's time to get out, they start working out harder every day. I'm talking about discipline, like every day, sometimes twice a day, they push-ups and pull-ups and dips and lifting weights and jogging around the track, trying to get that penitentiary body so when they get out, they look like they're fresh and healthy. You know what I'm saying? Following all the rules and all this, and they're just changing on the surface so that it looks good. And then when they get ready, also when they get ready to go up, they start taking all these programs and classes so they can get all of these certificates. And that bleeds over into the relationships and how you communicate with your family. So Craig was talking to Dominique as if, look, I got it together this time. I'm going to make it. And this is what I want to do with my life and so on and so forth, right? And it sounded great. It sounded great. So Dominique started sharing things that he wanted to do down the line. And he started giving up a little bit too much information about, how much money he was making. Him wanting to get a food truck and then open up another business on the side as well, and all of these different things. And his father was jumping in on that, said, yeah, we could do that together. And that made Dominique happy because why wouldn't you want to share something like that with a father that's not been in your life, that you don't really know? You know what I'm saying? And you have this image in your head of who he is, and that image is based off the falsities that he's been telling her his whole life, right? He don't really know who his father is. He don't really know that his father can't be trusted. He don't get that. So he believes that his father is somebody that, man, pops get out, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. But here's something I need to impart to y'all real quick. Some people, whether they commit petty crimes or more serious crimes, right? They ain't fit to be messed with. And let me tell you why. See, when you develop that psychopathic, sociopathic mindset, right? Everything about what you do is take, and not give. You don't add anything to another person's life. You might latch on to somebody, and it could be a family member, son, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? A stranger that you meet, whatever. But when a person like that latches on to you, it's all about what they can get from you and take from you. And on a temporary basis, they'll make you feel like they're going to be given to you. But the whole point is to latch on to you like a tick so they can drain you. But see, once they latch on to you, it's hard to get them off. It's hard to get them off. And if you want to realize, you know what I'm saying, your fullest potential, it will behoove you to learn a few things about people like that so you can make sure that they don't become a tick on your neck. When you run into people like that, don't get me wrong, I ain't no hater. I ain't no hater. I'm just keeping it real and honest with you about some people. So don't get it twisted that it matters about how much time a person does or what type of sentence they have that for you to determine if it's somebody that you should be messing with. That is a very small part of the picture. That's a very small part of it. People that are sociopathic leeches, they will make you believe that they care about you. But here I'm going to give you a tip on how you can spot one a mile away. Because they can only do this for so long because everything about them is what they're, what they're into. It's not about you. So within 30 days, a person that's like that will start to show you in the way they talk, in the way they act. In about 30 days, everything is going to be about them. Any issue that you might have with them, they're going to flip it around and make you be the villain and they're the victim. And they're going to make you feel like you owe them something or you should be coming to their aid versus them being able to come to you. And yes, they will use their situation as proof that it's not them. Well, I've been locked up such and such amount of time and these people won't let me do this and these people won't let me do that. And all of that could be true. See, for a lot to be real good, you got to mix truth with it. You understand what I'm saying? So they will make you believe that the reason they've never been able to make it is because these people won't let them. But you got to put in work. And then they'll make you believe that you need to do more for them than they are able to do for you because they can't do it because of their situation. And before you know it, you're doing everything for them. You're doing everything for them. It don't take much. If you can't do a lot, do a little bit. That's what I say to the guys in here. But let me get back to Craig and Dominique, you know what I'm saying, and Kayla, right? Here's the issue. When Craig was asking for his son's help dealing with his parole, right? He told him that he was going to need a job plan and a home plan. See, when you're getting out of the penitentiary, these folks want to know, do you have somewhere to work? When you're getting out of the penitentiary, these folks want to know, do you have somewhere to live? Because if you don't, they're going to mandate that you go to a halfway house. And when you go to a halfway house, some of them are, but some of them are very strict. They're going to get you a job. They're going to get you somewhere to live. But you're going to have to be in at a certain time. You're going to have to be in some classes. A lot of people need that structure. But see, Craig, he didn't want any of that structure because that structure would require him to do what? Be accountable to somebody, right? And then he'd have to be accountable to himself. You feel what I'm saying? Because ain't nobody going to hold your hand. If you don't get in at a certain time, or you don't get in them classes when you're supposed to, they're going to violate you. You're going back to the penitentiary. And see, Craig didn't want that type of oversight. So he's convincing Dominique, let me come and stay. Let me come and stay. You feel what I mean? And when Dom, I call him Dom. Y'all know who I'm talking about when I say Dom. I'm Dominique. So when Dom was hearing his father say all these things, he was like, man, you can come and stay with us. Because they got this new house now. They got this new house. And they're living good. Okay? He hustling in the street. She's working. But they're getting it together. They got plans. And they are serious. They are intentional about moving on beyond the criminal lifestyle. Even though, he the business, right? So the parole hearing comes up. Dom and Kayla, they go to the parole hearing. They sit there, you know what I'm saying, they introduce themselves. When it's their time to speak, they talk to the parole board and tell them that, you know what I'm saying, who they are and all this and that. And they tell them they got him a place to live, a stable home. He got his own room. And Dom also has talked to his friends that got jobs, legitimate jobs, and they're going to give him an opportunity to work. You know what I'm saying? And one of the jobs that they were lining him up for was mechanic work. Craig don't know nothing about no mechanic. No mechanic. He can't fix nothing. Can't fix nothing. But they didn't look into that. You feel what I'm saying? They didn't look into that. But it's okay. It's okay. So the parole hearing goes on without a hitch. 2 or 3 weeks later, the final decision comes back and they grant Craig parole. He's going to be released in another 3 weeks. And he's going to be released to Dom and Kayla's house. He's going to have to get it together, right? To stay out, he's going to have to get it together. They give him his parole conditions. All it is the rules that he's going to have to live by when he gets out and all that kind of stuff, right? So when he gets out, Dom is happy. Kayla's happy because her man is happy. Happy. I'm talking about elated that he's coming home. Now, Dom's mother, that's Craig's ex. She tells Dom, she said, look, I've never said anything bad about your daddy. But you be careful. This man has no boundaries. He has no morals, no scruples. Now, Dom is looking at his mom. He loves his mom. He's looking at his mom and it's getting him a little bit upset, right? Because it's like, he feels like she's just mad that he don't want to be with her because that's what Dom has been told by Craig. So Dom looking at it from a male point of view. You feel what I'm saying? Not trying to consider what his mom might have been through, what she's learned about this man. And he's looking at it like, well, Mom, she just mad. He out now. He can be with whoever he wants to. She really want him back and all this and that. And she don't want nothing to do with him. Absolutely nothing to do with it. She just wants her son to be safe. Because she know this man ain't got no boundaries whatsoever. None at all. So Dom listens to her out of respect, but he's not receiving anything that she's saying. Not receiving anything that she's saying. So the first weekend that they're out, Dom wants to throw a party, a welcome home party for his pops. He couldn't do it during the week because he had things going on and Kayla had things going on. But that particular weekend, oh man, they invited some of his old friends from the neighborhood and they came over. You know, they popping bottles and drinking and barbecuing and all this and that. And they just let him feel that freedom and that warmth of being welcome home. And Kayla's parents came there to meet him and all this and that. And they were happy. They were happy that he was home, but they saw something. And they told Kayla, be careful about this man. Because see, Craig had the gift of gab. You understand what I'm saying? He had that charisma where, you know, hey, he could, listen to me now, he could talk an Eskimo out of a fur. You feel what I'm saying? I'm telling you, man, listen to me. This dude had that mouthpiece. And Kayla's parents saw that. They were around his age. They've seen his kind before. You know what I mean? And she took everything in that they said. But again, she's in her mid-20s. You know what I'm saying? She ain't never been around nobody like this. So that weekend, everybody's having fun and all this and that. And it's time, Monday comes around. It's time for Craig to go to work. So Craig gets up. Dom takes him to work to meet the guy that he's going to be working for. It's one of Dom's partners. He ain't one of the guys, but he's one of his partners. You know, he got this mechanic, you know what I'm saying, thing going on, fixing cars and stuff like that, right? Building it up, right? Just another young dude trying to build something and be somebody in life. He didn't want to, you know what I'm saying, keep living off the streets himself, right? So Craig gets to the place and meets his supervisor for the first time. And if you want to know how that went down and how this story continues to play out, you're going to have to tune into the next episode because it's coming up, right? It's coming up, y'all. Stay tuned. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.